Hi friends, and welcome to this session. In this session we would do circular arrangements. This is part of logical reasoning. We have already covered one session on linear arrangements. If you have not seen that video, please see that video before viewing this, right? So in circular arrangements, we have to assume certain things. We have certain concepts which we would keep in mind. Whenever a problem of circular arrangement is given, we assume that everybody is pointing towards the center, or everybody is facing towards the center, right? So if A is here, A is facing towards the center, A's face is something like this, right? C's face is something like this. So when C's face is something like this, so on the left of C is D and on the right of C is B, right? So these are the left and right two directions of C. For B, again on the left hand side you would see there is C, on the right hand side you would see there is A, right? So there are two more directions which I want to talk about. One is clockwise direction and another is anti-clockwise direction. Clockwise direction is shown here with a blue line, blue arrow, and anti-clockwise is shown here with a green arrow, this one, right? So whenever from a particular point you move in a clockwise direction, you are moving towards the left of that person, right? So if we move clockwise from D, we are moving to the left of D. If we move anti-clockwise, we are moving to the right of that person, right? So anti-clockwise means right of C to B, anti-clockwise of B is A, right? So these are few connotations which you would see in the questions in circular arrangements, right? So the easiest way out is you assume yourself to be any of them, right? For example, here you assume yourself to be B, right? When you are B, sitting facing towards, let's say this is a west direction, right? We have already done directions as well. This is west direction, right? So what is on our left? It is clockwise only, right? So this is on our left and this is on our right, right? So you have to just see that which direction is to our left and which is to our right, so that you make correct arrangements and you would be able to get correct answers for each and every question, right? So these are just the basic concepts which we are going to use in every question of circular arrangement, right? So to put things in perspective, let's see one question of circular arrangements and see what can be done in this case. Another point which you have to keep in mind is there is no left right here, right? There is no starting point or the ending point, right? What you are doing here is you are placing all the objects relative to each other, right? So there is no fixed position as such, you are placing something relative to each other. So for example, if you have, let's say, this circle, A is left to B, A is left to B. So if A is here, B is here, and B is left to A, and then it says B is right to C, right? This can be one arrangement, or it can be A is here, B is here, and C is here, right? So they are equivalent arrangements. A here, B here, and C here. So these are equivalent arrangements. We don't fix positions in circular arrangement questions, right? So keeping these two facts in mind, let's do one practice question, which is P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W are sitting round the circle and are facing the center. P is second to the right of t, right? So if we place t here, let's place t here, we have to place 2 positions to the right of t, which means we have to move counterclockwise. This is one position, this is second position, right? So p is here, right? And what is given is t is neighbor of r and v. These 2 positions would be occupied by r and v. We don't know which one is occupied by r and which one is occupied by v, so we'll not mention it here, right? The next step is s is not neighbor of p, so there is this neighbor of p, this won't be s, so just put a cross here, so it won't be s. The next statement says v is neighbor of u. Now we could have been here, or so we could have been here or here. If v was here, it can't have u as neighbor, so this means v has to be here. There is no other way out, and because v is here, r is here, right? V's neighbor is u. So we are now confident about these 5 people, P, R, T, V, U. We don't know about Q, R, S till now. What we know is S is not here, right? So this is what we know. Then it says Q is not between S and W. So S is not here, S can be here or here, right? There are 2 possibilities that S can be here or here, right? Let's assume that S is here first. If S is here, Q is not between S and W, right? And W is not between U and S, so W can't be here, right? Which means W has to be here, and eventually Q has to be here. And it says that Q is not between S and W, so Q is not between S and W is satisfied. Another arrangement can be S is here, right? If S is here, there is no scope of W between U and S, because U and S are neighbors, right? And it says Q is not between S and W. So if W is here, Q cannot be here, which means W has to be here and Q has to be here. So these are the 2 way outs in which this arrangement can be done, right? Both these 2 way outs are right, and you can answer questions according to these 2 way outs, right? So these are the 2 way outs. Now let's go to second set. I'll give you around 2 to 3 minutes to do it. It's very similar to what we have done. Try and do it in 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll do it together. So let's do it. 6 friends are sitting in a circle and facing the center of the circle, right? Deepa is, so there are 6 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, right? Try to locate them so that they are equidistant, right? It becomes easy for you to solve the questions like this. Deepa is between Prakash and Pankaj, Preeti between Mukesh and Lalit. Prakash and Mahesh are opposite to each other. So let's firstly plot Prakash, which is denoted by PR here, and Mahesh, which is denoted by M here. They are opposite to each other. Now Deepa is between Prakash and Pankaj. So Deepa can be here. This is one case, and in that case Pankaj would be here. And Preeti is between Mukesh and Lalit. So PRI would be here and Lalit would be here. So this is one case. In this case, on the left of Prakash is Lalit, on the right of Prakash is Deepa. There can be another case where Deepa is here and Pankaj is here, right? And Lalit is here, Preeti is here, right? So these are two possible cases. What you would find in both the cases is neighbor of each one is same. So here the neighbor of Lalit was Preeti and Prakash. Even here the neighbor of Lalit was Preeti and Prakash, right? The only difference is here the left neighbor of Lalit is Prakash, and here the left neighbor of Lalit is Preeti, right? So that's the only difference, but the pair of neighbor remains the same, right? So there can be questions where you would be asked the pair of neighbors, or there can be questions which ask you the positions of particular neighbors, right? So you have to see and use both the cases to determine the correct answers, right? So there can be questions where the answer cannot be determined, or there can be questions where you can definitely answer the question, right? Now let's go to next question. Here we are having a hexagonal table, right? So hexagonal table is nothing but a circular table, right? You have to do the question in the similar way you do the question on circular arrangements, right? So it's also a circular, so any closed body is a circular arrangement, right? It says 6 friends PQRSTU are sitting on a hexagonal table, each at one corner and facing the center of the hexagon. So again they are facing the hexagon. P is second left to U, right? So start with it, plot a U here anywhere you want. P is second left to U, so first left is this, second left is this. Q is neighbor of R and S, which means Q cannot be here because Q has to be here, so that it has two neighbors R and S. T is second left to S. Now if S is here, right, T would be what? T would be here, right? But here already we know it's R, right? So this is not possible, which means S has to be here, R has to be here. There is no other way out, and thus T has to be here. So this is simplest question where you are able to get a single arrangement, right? This was an easy one, right? You would be able to answer all the questions. The last question which we are doing here is slightly complex. It has now a parameter of gender as well, which is involved here, right? So this becomes complex. If you want to further increase the complexity, add a parameter of profession. So there can be questions where there are 3 parameters: One is the name, second is the gender, and third is the profession, to make the question very complex. So here just read the question. It has 7 statements. Seems to be a tough question, but if you try and solve it, you would be able to do it and score a good marks, right? So I'll give you around 3 minutes to do it, and then we'll do it together. So let's do it. 8 people. These are the names: E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, are seated on a square table, 2 on each side. 3 ladies are there, right? Who are not seated next to each other, right? So they are not seated next to each other. J is between L and F, right? So if J is here, he is between L and F. This is one possibility. The other possibility is J is here and F is here and L is here. Can there be any other possibility? Yes, there can be, right? Here what we have done is we have placed F to the left of J, right? Can we place F to the right of J as well? Something like this. This is another possibility, and then there is a 4th possibility as well, which is J, F here and L here, right? So this is the 4 possibilities which we would get from statement 1, right? Now let's go to statement 4, which is G is between I and F, right? So G is between I and F. Here G is between I and F, something like this. Here G is here and I is here, and finally our last case, G is here and I is here. Then the next statement says H, a lady member, is second left to J, right? So H is a lady member who is second left to J. Can we place H here? We can, yes. Can we place H here? No, because already G is there, so this is checked out, right? So this is not possible. Here it is possible, right? It is H. Here it is again not possible. So now we are left with only two cases, right? And H is lady, so just use a negative mark for lady, or if you want to use a positive mark, use a positive mark for lady, right? And don't use any mark for gent. So H is a lady. Finally it says F, a male member. So F is a male member, we don't need to put any mark, sits opposite to E, right? Here F is opposite to H, we cannot place E opposite to H, so this is not possible again. So only one case is left where E has to be here and E is a negative. So who is left? E, F, G, H, I, J, K is left, right? So K is here. K cannot be a lady, L cannot be a lady, I cannot be a lady, F was a gent, right? So G and J can be another two ladies, right? There is a lady member between F and I. Between F and I there is a lady member, which means G is a lady member. So we have three ladies, E, H and G, right? So if you see clearly, when we read the first statement, we have four cases, right? So you have to be cognizant of all the four cases and then keep on striking the cases, right? After the second statement still we were having four cases, but after the third one we were able to strike the two, and after the fourth one we were able to strike the one case and were left with only one. So this is the final arrangement of E, F, G, H, I, J, K on a square table, right? I hope that you are clear about how to solve the problems on circular arrangements. You would be able to do well if you practice really well. So we would have a practice sheet on this where there would be ample practice on questions based on circular as well as linear arrangements. So this is all for now. I hope that you enjoyed the session. I wish you all the best for your preparation, and we will conclude the session. Thank you. Thanks for watching the video.